Hello and welcome back to DisruptED TV Student Voice. I'm your host Bobby, here today with a freshman in high school, Donovan. How are you today, Donovan?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Our first question for you today is, do you feel that students in your school have a voice in the decision-making process?
No, not really.
Can you elaborate a little more as to why?
When it comes to making big decisions in the school, the students' opinions are not really considered.
And how does that make you feel and the other students around you when you're walking into the school each day?
A little angry and just upset at the fact that we're not being heard.
And the fact that you're upset, does that lead to a lack of motivation for students and maybe even yourself while you're in the classroom?
Yes, sometimes.
And does that generally affect student performance in the classroom?
Yes.
It does? It's sad to hear. I mean, how do you think that things can be changed?
I feel if they just sat down some students and kind of ran by a little bit and saw how we would react and how we would do and with those decisions. And
so you're more of an advocate for one-on-one learning in some situations.
Yes.
That you believe would help make some students feel a little more cared about by the teachers or a little more trusted by the teachers?
Yes.
Okay. Our next question for you today is, if you have a problem, is there a teacher in your school with whom you can talk to?
Not many.
How many would that be?
Maybe one or two.
Now, with only one or two, there's probably a lot more teachers in your school. How does that make you feel going from class to class? Without those teachers that you can really talk to at all points during the day, does that affect any of your studying or your grade skills?
It does sometimes, but most of the time I know that once I get to that teacher, I'll be fine.
Okay, and is that usually the same for most of the students around you?
Yes.
Does the same type of thing happen with them? Do they struggle in classes to concentrate, or do they struggle in classes to really have the initiative or the want to really learn?
Yeah, they struggle sometimes, yes.
And how do you feel that could change?
If the teachers were more personable and just a little more kinder.
And in regards to that, does that go back to a little what you said earlier with the one-on-one learning?
Yes.
And really what you're looking for is more of a connection with the teachers, and do you feel that that would help to better suit the student-teacher connection in that sense?
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Donovan. And as for the students out there, please keep this question in mind. Does your school validate student voice? And if it does, how can you help make your school better? Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, Bobby, and we'll see you next time.